The morning sun was shining bright through the small window of the Martinez apartment. Sarah Martinez woke up feeling terrible. Her head was pounding, and her body was hot with fever. She tried to sit up in bed, but the room started spinning around her. Today was the most important day of her life, and she was too sick to get out of bed. Sarah looked at the clock on her bedside table. It was already 9 in the morning. Her job interview was at 2 in the afternoon. She had been waiting for this chance for 6 long months. 6 months of looking for work every single day. 6 months of watching her small savings disappear. 6 months of worrying about how to pay rent and buy food for her 2 children. "Mom, are you okay?" 8-year-old Emma peeked into her mother's bedroom. Emma had dark hair and neat braids and big brown eyes that were always full of questions. She was wearing her school uniform, but it was Saturday, so she did not have to go to school today. Sarah tried to smile at her daughter, but even that simple action made her head hurt more. "I'm just a little sick, sweetheart," she said in a weak voice, "but I need to get ready for my interview today." Emma walked closer to her mother's bed. She could see that her mom looked very pale and tired. "Mom, you look really sick. Maybe you should stay in bed today." "I can't, Emma," Sarah said, trying to sit up again. "This job interview is very important. If I get this job, we won't have to worry about money anymore. I can pay our rent, and I can buy you and your little brother new clothes for school." Emma knew how hard her mother had been trying to find work. Every day, Sarah would sit at their old computer, typing letters to different companies. Every day, she would put on her best dress and go to job interviews. Every night, Emma would hear her mother crying quietly in her room when she thought the children were sleeping. "What company is the interview with, Mom?" Emma asked, sitting on the edge of the bed. "Thompson Industries," Sarah answered. "It's a very big company downtown. The boss is a man named Mr. Robert Thompson. It's very rich and very important. The job is to be his assistant. That means I would help him with his work every day." Emma listened carefully to every word. She always paid attention when her mother talked about important things. "What time is your interview, Mom?" 2 o'clock this afternoon, Sarah said. "I need to leave here at 1 o'clock to get there on time. The bus ride takes about 30 minutes, and I want to be early."
Ow.
Sarah tried to stand up, but her legs felt weak. She sat back down on the bed quickly. "Oh no," she whispered. "I feel so dizzy. How am I going to go to this interview?" Emma watched her mother with worried eyes. She had never seen her mom this sick before. "Mom, maybe you can call them and ask to do the interview on a different day?" Sarah shook her head slowly. "No, Emma. I already asked to change the time once before. If I don't go today, they will give the job to someone else. There are many people who want this job." Emma thought about this for a moment. She knew her family needed money badly. Last week, she had heard her mother talking on the phone with the landlord. The man was angry because they were late paying rent again. He told her mother that if they didn't pay soon, they would have to move out of their apartment. "Mom, what would you say in the interview?" Emma asked. Sarah looked surprised by the question. "Well, I would tell Mr. Thompson about my experience. I would tell him that I worked at Peterson Company for 5 years before they closed down. I would tell him that I'm good with computers and that I can organize things very well." Emma nodded, listening to every word. "What else would you say?" "I would tell him that I work very hard and that I really need this job," Sarah continued. "I would show him my resume with all my experience written on it. I would answer all his questions and try to make him see that I'm the best person for the job." Emma was quiet for a few minutes, thinking hard about something. Her mother lay back down and closed her eyes, feeling worse and worse. "Mom," Emma said suddenly, "I have an idea." "What is it, sweetheart?" Sarah asked without opening her eyes. "What if I go to the interview for you?" Sarah's eyes opened wide. "What? Emma, don't be silly. You're only 8 years old. Can't go to a job interview." "But Mom, I listened to everything you just told me. I can tell Mr. Thompson all about your experience. I can give him your resume. I can answer his questions." Sarah tried to laugh, but it made her cough. "Oh, Emma, that's very sweet of you, too. Want to help? But job interviews are for grown-ups. Mr. Thompson would never listen to a little girl." Emma stood up from the bed with a determined look on her face. Mom, we don't have any other choice. If you don't go today, you won't get the job. If you try to go when you're this sick, you might faint or throw up. That won't help you get the job either. Sarah had to admit that Emma was right. She felt terrible, and the interview was in just 5 hours. She didn't think she would feel better by then. Even if I wanted you to go, Emma, how would you get there? You don't know how to take the bus by yourself? Emma had already thought about this. I'll ask Mrs. Garcia next door to help me. She likes us, and she knows you're looking for work. I bet she would drive me downtown. Mrs. Garcia was their elderly neighbor. She was a kind woman who often helped Sarah by watching the children when she went to job interviews. She had told Sarah many times that she wanted to help their family in any way she could. Sarah was beginning to think that maybe Emma's crazy idea wasn't so crazy after all. She looked at her brave little daughter standing there with such determination and love in her eyes. Emma, even if Mrs. Garcia drives you there, what makes you think Mr. Thompson will talk to you? He's expecting to meet me, not an 8-year-old girl. Emma crossed her arms and lifted her chin up high. I'll tell him the truth, Mom. I'll tell him that you're sick, but that you really need this job. I'll tell him that you sent me because this job is so important to our family. Sarah felt tears coming to her eyes. She was so proud of her daughter's courage, but she was also scared. What if something went wrong? What if Emma got lost downtown? What if Mr. Thompson got angry? I don't know, Emma. It's very dangerous for her. You two go downtown alone? And what about your little brother Miguel? Someone needs to stay here with him. Emma had thought about this too. Miguel is taking a nap now. Mrs. Garcia can watch him while I'm gone. She's watched him before when you had interviews. Sarah looked at the clock again. It was now 10:30 in the morning. She felt even sicker than before. Her fever was getting higher, and she was starting to shiver even though she felt hot.
Mom?
You're getting worse, Emma said with worry in her voice. I think you need to stay in bed and rest. Let me help you. Let me do this for our family. Sarah looked at her 8-year-old daughter and saw something amazing. She saw the same determination that had helped Sarah survive as a single mother for so many years, saw the same love that made her work so hard to take care of her children. Emma was small, but she had a big heart and a strong spirit. Maybe, just maybe, this crazy plan could work. Maybe Mr. Thompson would be impressed by Emma's courage. Maybe he would understand that any mother who could raise such a brave and caring daughter would be a good worker. Okay, Emma, Sarah said finally. Let's try your idea. But first, we need to practice what you're going to say. Emma's face lit up with excitement. Really, Mom? You'll let me go? Yes, but we need to prepare very carefully. This is the most important thing you've ever done, Emma. Are you sure you're ready for this? Emma nodded firmly. I'm ready, Mom. I want to help you. I want to help our family. Sarah smiled at her daughter, feeling proud and scared at the same time. Okay then, let's get started. We have a lot of work to do before 2 o'clock. Mrs. Garcia stood in her kitchen making lunch when she heard a soft knock on her door. She was a 70-year-old woman with gray hair and kind eyes. She had lived next to the Martinez family for 3 years and loved Sarah and her children like they were her own family. When she opened the door, she saw Emma standing there in her best dress. It was a blue dress with small white flowers that Sarah had bought for Emma's school picture day. Emma was holding a large brown folder and had her small purse hanging from her shoulder. Hello, Mrs. Garcia, Emma said politely. I need to ask you for a very big favor. Mrs. Garcia smiled and invited Emma into her apartment. Of course, dear. What do you need help with? Where's your mother? Emma sat down on Mrs. Garcia's soft couch and explained everything. Fever and how sick she was. She explained about the important job interview at Thompson Industries. She told Mrs. Garcia about her plan to go to the interview for her mother. Mrs. Garcia listened with wide eyes. At first she thought Emma was just playing a game, but as Emma kept talking, Mrs. Garcia realized the little girl was completely serious. Emma, sweetheart, Mrs. Garcia said gently. That's a very brave idea, but I don't think it will work. Job interviews are for adults. Mr. Thompson won't know what to do if a child shows up instead of your mother. Emma looked at Mrs. Garcia with determined eyes. Mrs. Garcia, my mom is too sick to go. If she doesn't go today, we might lose our apartment. The landlord is already angry about the rent money. This job could save our family. Mrs. Garcia had heard Sarah crying at night sometimes. She knew the family was having money problems. She had wanted to help, but Sarah was too proud to accept charity from neighbors. Even if I agreed to drive you, Emma, what would you say to this important businessman? He might get angry. He might call the police. Emma opened the brown folder and showed Mrs. Garcia all the papers inside. There was Sarah's resume, copies of her work certificates, and letters from her old boss saying she was a good worker. My mom taught me everything to say, Emma explained. I know all about her work experience, know why she would be perfect for this job. I've been practicing all morning. Mrs. Garcia looked at the serious expression on Emma's young face. This child was not playing games. She really wanted to help her family in the only way she could think of. Emma, what if something goes wrong? What if you get scared? Downtown is a big, busy place. Emma had thought about this too. Could wait for me in the car, Mrs. Garcia. If something bad happens, I'll come right back to you. But I have to try. My mom has been looking for work for 6 months. This might be our last chance. Mrs. Garcia felt her heart breaking for this brave little girl. She remembered being young and wanting to help her own family during hard times. She looked at Emma's hopeful face and made a decision. Okay, Emma, I'll drive you downtown, but I'm going to wait right outside the building for you. And if anyone is mean to you or makes you scared, you come straight to me. Do you understand? Emma jumped up and hugged Mrs. Garcia tightly. Thank you, Mrs. Garcia. Thank you so much. My mom will be so happy. They drove downtown in Mrs. Garcia's old car. Emma sat in the front seat, looking out the window at all the tall buildings. She had never been to this part of the city before. Everything looked so big and important. Thompson Industries was in one of the tallest buildings Emma had ever seen. It was made of shiny glass and looked like it touched the clouds. Mrs. Garcia parked the car across the street. Are you sure about this, Emma? Mrs. Garcia asked one more time. Emma nodded and checked her folder to make sure all the papers were still there, I'm sure. I have to do this for my mom and Miguel. I'll be right here waiting for you, Mrs. Garcia promised. If you're not back in 1 hour, I'm coming to find you. Emma got out of the car and walked across the busy street. Her heart was beating very fast, but she kept walking. The lobby of the building was huge, with marble floors and crystal lights hanging from the ceiling. Emma had never seen anything so fancy. There was a security guard at a big desk near the entrance. He was a tall man in a blue uniform. Emma walked up to him with confidence, even though she felt nervous inside. Excuse me, sir, Emma said in her politest voice. I'm here for a job interview with Mr. Thompson at Thompson Industries. The security guard looked down at Emma with surprise. A job interview? How old are you, little girl? I'm 8 years old, but I'm here for my mother. She's sick today, so I came instead. The security guard had worked in this building for 10 years. He had seen many strange things, but never anything like this. What's your mother's name? Sarah Martinez? She has an appointment at 2 o'clock. The guard checked his computer and found Sarah's name on the list. He didn't know what to do. Should he send this child away? Should he call Mr. Thompson's office? Little girl, I don't think this is going to work. Mr. Thompson is a very busy and important man. He doesn't have time for games. Emma's face became serious. This is not a game, sir. My family really needs this job. My mom is a very good worker, and I can tell Mr. Thompson all about her. Please, can you just call his office and ask? The security guard looked at Emma's determined face and felt sorry for her. There was something special about this child. She was not acting like a silly little girl. She was acting like someone who really cared about helping her family. Okay, he said finally. I'll call upstairs and see what they say. But don't get your hopes up.
Ow.
The guard called Thompson Industries on the 42nd floor. He spoke to Linda, the receptionist. Linda, this is Tom in the lobby. I have a strange situation here. There's an 8-year-old girl who says she's here for the 2 o'clock interview instead of her mother. Linda was confused. What do you mean instead of her mother? She says her mom is sick, so she came to do the interview for her. I know it. Sounds crazy, but this kid seems really serious about it. Linda had been working as Mr. Thompson's receptionist for 15 years. She had never heard anything like this before. We'll send her up, I guess. I'll figure out what to do when she gets here. The security guard hung up the phone and looked at Emma. Okay, they said you can go up. Take the elevator to the 42nd floor and ask for Linda at the reception desk. Emma thanked the security guard and walked to the elevators. Her hands were shaking a little as she pressed the button. The elevator was very fast, and her ears popped as it went up and up and up. When the doors opened on the 42nd floor, Emma saw the most beautiful office she had ever seen. There were big windows everywhere showing the whole city below. The furniture was expensive. There were fresh flowers on every table. A woman with blonde hair and a kind face was sitting behind a large desk. This must be Linda, Emma thought. Are you the little girl who called about the interview? Linda asked gently. Yes, ma'am. I'm Emma Martinez. I'm here for my mom's job interview. Linda looked at this small child standing in front of her desk, holding a folder almost as big as she was. Emma's dress was neat and clean. Her hair was combed perfectly, and she was standing up straight like a grown-up. Emma, where's your mother today? She's very sick with a fever. She couldn't get out of bed this morning. But this job is very important to our family, so I came to tell you about her instead. Linda didn't know what to do. Mr. Thompson was expecting Sarah Martinez in 10 minutes. He was a very strict man who didn't like surprises or changes to his schedule. Something about Emma's bravery touched Linda's heart. Emma, Mr. Thompson is a very serious businessman. I don't think he'll want to interview a child. Please, ma'am, Emma said. Just ask him if he'll talk to me for 5 minutes. He says no, I'll go home. But if he says yes, I promise I won't waste his time. I know everything about my mom's work experience. Linda looked at Emma's hopeful face and made a decision that would change everything. She picked up her phone and called Mr. Thompson's office. Mr. Thompson, there's an unusual situation with your 2 o'clock appointment. Robert Thompson sat behind his huge wooden desk on the 42nd floor. He was a tall man with gray hair and serious eyes. At 55 years old, he had built Thompson Industries from a small company into one of the biggest businesses in the city. He was worth millions of dollars, but he had worked very hard for every penny. Mr. Thompson looked at his expensive gold watch. It was exactly 2 o'clock. He liked people to be on time. Being late showed that a person was not serious about work. He had been running his company for 25 years. He had very strict rules. His phone rang, and Linda's voice came through the speaker. Mr. Thompson, there's an unusual situation with your 2 o'clock appointment. Candidate didn't come, but her daughter is here instead. Mr. Thompson frowned. In all his years of business, he had heard every excuse people could make. He had heard about sick grandmothers, broken cars, and family emergencies. But he had never heard of someone sending their child to a job interview. Do you mean her daughter? He asked in his deep, serious voice. The applicant, Sarah Martinez, is sick today. Her 8-year-old daughter, Emma, came instead. She says she wants to do the interview for her mother. Mr. Thompson was quiet for a moment. His first thought was to tell Linda to send the child home. Immediately, he was a busy man with no time for games. He had important meetings all afternoon and phone calls to make to other countries, but something made him curious. What kind of person would send their child to handle such an important matter? Was this woman crazy, or was there something more to this story? Send her up, he said finally. I'll give her 5 minutes, and then I want to see the next candidate. On my list, a few minutes later, Emma knocked on Mr. Thompson's office door. When he opened it, he saw a small girl in a blue dress with flowers on it. She had neat braids and was carrying a folder that looked too big for her small hands. Emma looked up at Mr. Thompson with bright, determined eyes. Hello, Mr. Thompson. I'm Emma Martinez. I'm here about my mom's job, Mr. Thompson had expected to feel annoyed, but instead he felt surprised. This child was not acting silly or scared. She was looking at him directly and speaking clearly, like a much older person. Come in, Emma, he said, stepping aside to let her into his office. Emma walked into the biggest, fanciest room she had ever seen. The walls were covered with awards and pictures of Mr. Thompson shaking hands with important people. There were bookshelves full of thick books about business, and a view of the whole city through huge windows. Mr. Thompson gestured to a large leather chair in front of his desk. Emma climbed up into it and her feet didn't touch the floor. She placed her folder carefully on the desk and sat up straight. "So, Emma," Mr. Thompson began, still not sure how to handle this strange situation, "tell me about your mother." Opened her folder and took out her mother's resume. She slid it across the big desk to Mr. Thompson. "My mom's name is Sarah Martinez. She's 32 years old, and she's really good at her job." Mr. Thompson picked up the resume and looked at it. Sarah Martinez had good experience in education. She had worked at Peterson Company for 5 years before they went out of business. She knew how to use computers and spoke both English and Spanish perfectly. "She worked at Peterson Company until they closed down 6 months ago," Emma continued. "She wasn't fired or anything like that. The whole company just ran out of money and had to close." Mr. Thompson nodded. He knew about Peterson Company. They had been a good business until the economy got bad. Many people lost their jobs when Peterson closed. "What makes you think your mother would be good at this job?" Mr. Thompson asked. He found himself really listening to Emma's answer instead of just waiting for this strange meeting to end. Emma's face became very serious. "Because my mom is the most organized person in the world. She takes care of everything at home perfectly, even when things are really hard. She makes sure my little brother Miguel and I have everything we need for school. She helps us with our homework every night, even when she's tired from looking for jobs all day." Emma paused and looked directly at Mr. Thompson. "She never gives up on anything, Mr. Thompson. Even when she's really worried about money, she keeps trying. She applies for jobs every single day. She studies at night to learn new computer programs. She practices interview questions in the mirror." Mr. Thompson felt something strange happening in his chest. This child was describing the kind of dedication and hard work that he rarely saw in his employees. Many of the people who worked for him had good jobs and nice cars, but they didn't have the fighting spirit that Emma was describing. "Emma, where is your father?" Mr. Thompson asked gently. Emma's face became sad for a moment. "My dad left when I was 5 years old. He said taking care of a family was too hard. My mom has been taking care of Miguel and me all by herself since then." Mr. Thompson nodded slowly. He was beginning to understand why this little girl had been brave enough to come to his office. She had learned about responsibility and courage from watching her mother struggle to keep their family together. "What would you say is your mother's biggest weakness?" Mr. Thompson asked. It was a question he always asked in job interviews, but he was curious how an 8-year-old would answer it. Emma thought for a moment, her face serious with concentration. "Well, she worries too much sometimes. Like today, she was so sick she could barely stand up, but she was still worried about missing this interview. She kept saying this might be our last chance to get a good job." Emma looked at Mr. Thompson with honest eyes. "But I don't think worrying too much is really a bad thing. I think it means she cares a lot about doing everything right." Mr. Thompson was impressed by Emma's thoughtful answer. Many adults couldn't answer that question as well as this 8-year-old had just done. "And what would you say is your mother's greatest strength?" he asked. Emma's answer came immediately without any hesitation. "She never ever gives up, and she always finds a way to solve problems. When our car broke down last month and we didn't have money to pay a mechanic, she watched videos on the internet and learned how to fix it herself. When I needed help with a science project for school, she stayed up all night helping me, even though she had 2 job interviews the next day." Emma leaned forward in the big chair. "Mr. Thompson, my mom would work harder for you than anyone else because she knows what it's like to really need a job. She wouldn't take this opportunity for granted like some people might." Mr. Thompson found himself thinking about his own life. He had built his fortune through determination and hard work, but he had been lucky too. He had never had to worry about paying rent or buying food for his children. He had forgotten what it felt like to really struggle. "Emma, why didn't your mother call to reschedule this interview when she got sick?" he asked. Emma's voice became very quiet. "Because our landlord said we have to pay the rent money by Friday, or we have to move out of our apartment. Mom said this job interview was our only hope left." She looked down at her small hands folded in her lap. "I heard her crying on the phone last night after she thought Miguel and I were asleep. She was talking to her sister and she said she didn't know what we were going to do if she didn't get this job. Emma looked back up at Mr. Thompson with tears in her eyes, but her voice was still strong. "That's why I had to come here today, Mr. Thompson. I couldn't let my mom lose this chance because she was sick. Our family needs this job so much." Mr. Thompson was quiet for a long time. In his world of million-dollar deals and important business meetings, he had become disconnected from real human struggle. This brave little girl had reminded him of something he had forgotten, that behind every resume and every job application was a real person with real problems and real dreams. He looked at Emma sitting in the big chair, her feet dangling above the floor, and he made a decision that would surprise everyone, including himself. Mr. Thompson stood up from his desk and walked to the huge windows that showed the whole city below. Emma sat quietly in the big chair, waiting for him to speak. She could feel her heart beating fast, but she tried to stay calm and brave like her mother had taught her. For several minutes, Mr. Thompson just looked out at the city. He was thinking about many things. He was thinking about his own daughter, who was about Emma's age. He was thinking about how lucky his family was to have money and a nice house and never worry about paying bills. "Emma," he said finally, still looking out the window, "how did you get here today?" "Mrs. Garcia drove me," Emma answered. "She's our neighbor. She's waiting for me downstairs in her car right now, and your little brother, who's taking care of him while you're here. Mrs. Garcia is watching him too. Miguel is only 4 years old, so he needs someone to stay with him. But he's taking a nap right now, so it's okay." Mr. Thompson turned around and looked at Emma. "You planned all of this by yourself?" Emma nodded. "Well, my mom helped me practice what to say. But the idea to come here was mine. Mom was too sick to think clearly, so I had to figure out what to do." Mr. Thompson walked back to his desk and sat down. He picked up Sarah's resume again and read it more carefully this time. Sarah Martinez had gone to college and graduated with good grades. She had learned many computer programs and had excellent letters from her old boss at Peterson Company. "Mama, what do you know about what an executive assistant does?" he asked. "An executive assistant helps the boss with important work," Emma said. "They answer phone calls and set up meetings. They organize papers and make sure everything is done on time. They help the boss remember important things and make his workday easier." Mr. Thompson was surprised by how well Emma understood the job. "That's exactly right. How do you know so much about it?" "My mom explained everything to me. She studied this job for weeks before applying. She read about your company on the internet. She learned about what you do and what kind of person you need to help you." Emma opened her folder again and pulled out several pieces of paper. She even wrote down questions that she thought you might ask her, and she practiced the answers. "Do you want me to show you?" Mr. Thompson nodded, and Emma showed him the papers. Sarah had written down dozens of possible interview questions and thoughtful answers for each one. She had researched Thompson Industries and learned about their biggest clients and recent business deals. "Your mother did a lot of preparation for this interview," Mr. Thompson said, impressed by Sarah's thorough work. "She always prepares for everything," Emma said proudly. "When I have a test at school, she helps me study for hours until I know everything perfectly. When Miguel had to go to the doctor, she wrote down all his symptoms and questions to ask before we went." Mr. Thompson found himself smiling for the first time during this unusual meeting. "Ma, I have a question that might seem strange. I offered your mother this job. How do I know she would work as hard as you say she would?" Emma looked at Mr. Thompson with complete seriousness. "Because, Mr. Thompson, my mom has been working hard her whole life, even when nobody was paying her or saying thank you. She gets up at 6 o'clock every morning to make breakfast for Miguel and me. She helps us get ready for school and walks us to the bus stop," Emma continued. "After we go to school, she spends the whole day looking for jobs or doing things around our apartment. She fixes things when they break because we can't afford to hire people to fix them. She cuts our hair because we can't afford to go to a hair salon. She grows vegetables in little pots on our windowsill because it saves money." On food, Mr. Thompson listened to every word. He was beginning to understand that Sarah Martinez was the kind of person who worked hard, not because someone was watching her, but because that's just who she was. "When Miguel and I get home from school, she helps us with homework and listens to us read our books out loud. She plays games with us and makes us laugh, even when she's worried about money. She cooks dinner and cleans the house and does our laundry. Ma's voice became softer. And then, after Miguel and I go to bed, she stays up late studying computer programs and looking for jobs on the internet. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and I see the light on in the kitchen where she's still working. Mr. Thompson felt something happening to his heart. This child was describing a level of dedication and sacrifice that he rarely saw in the business world. He thought about his own employees who worked 8 hours a day and then went home to watch television or play golf. "Emma, has your mother ever complained about how hard her life is?" he asked. Emma shook her head firmly. "Never. Not even once. She always tells Miguel and me that we're lucky to have each other and that everything will get better soon." When I asked her why she never complains, she said that complaining doesn't help solve problems. Mr. Thompson was quiet for a moment, thinking about his own life. When small problems happened at work, he sometimes got angry and frustrated. But here was a woman who was facing much bigger problems and never complained about any of it. "Thompson," Emma said suddenly, "can I tell you something else about my mom?" "Of course." "Last month, our neighbor Mr. Rodriguez got sick and couldn't work for 2 weeks. Even though we don't have much money, my mom made extra food and brought it to his family every day. She said that when people are struggling, we have to help each other." Emma looked directly at Mr. Thompson. "My mom taught me that being poor doesn't mean you can't be kind to other people. She taught me that helping others makes you feel good inside, even when you're having problems too." Mr. Thompson felt his eyes getting watery. This little girl was teaching him things about life and character that he had forgotten in his successful but sometimes cold business world. "Emma, what would getting this job mean to your family?" Emma's face lit up with hope. "It would mean we could stay in our apartment and not have to move. It would mean Miguel and I could keep going to the same school with our friends. It would mean my mom could stop crying at night when she thinks we're not listening." She paused and thought for a moment. "But most important, Mr. Thompson, it would mean my mom could stop worrying so much and start smiling more. She used to smile all the time before she lost her job. I want her to be happy again." Mr. Thompson stood up and walked around his desk. He knelt down next to Emma's chair, so they were at the same eye level. "Emma, you are one of the bravest and most caring children I have ever met. Your mother has done an amazing job raising you." Emma smiled shyly. "Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Does that mean you might give her the job?" Mr. Thompson looked into Emma's hopeful eyes and realized that this little girl had done something that no adult had ever done. She had reminded him why he started his business in the first place, to help people and make a difference in their lives. "Emma, I'm going to do something I've never done before in 25 years of running this company," he said slowly. "I'm going to offer your mother the job based on your interview today." Emma's eyes grew wide with disbelief. "Really? We mean it?" "Yes, but there are some conditions we need to talk about." Emma nodded eagerly. "What conditions?" Thompson smiled at her enthusiasm. "First, your mother needs to come in tomorrow morning to sign papers and talk to our human resources department. Second, this job comes with health insurance, which means when your mother gets sick, she can go to a doctor instead of sending her brave daughter to important meetings." Emma giggled at that, and Mr. Thompson continued. "Third, the job starts immediately, and I'm going to pay your mother her first month's salary in advance so you can pay your rent and not worry about moving." Emma jumped out of the chair and started dancing around Mr. Thompson's office. "Really? Really? Really? Really?" Mr. Thompson said, laughing at Emma's excitement. "But Emma, there's something else I want to tell you." Emma stopped dancing and looked at Mr. Thompson with curious eyes. "What else do you want to tell me?" Mr. Thompson sat back down in his chair and looked at this remarkable little girl who had changed his whole day. "Emma, you have taught me something very important today. You've reminded me what real courage looks like. You've shown me what it means to love your family so much that you'll do anything to help them." Emma listened carefully to every word. "I have a daughter who is about your age," Mr. Thompson continued. "Her name is Jessica. She has never had to worry about money or food or having a place to live. After meeting you today, I realize that I want Jessica to learn about courage and kindness the way you have." Mr. Thompson stood up and walked to a picture on his desk. It showed him with a pretty woman and a young girl with blonde hair. "This is my family, my wife Helen, and my daughter Jessica. I think you and Jessica would be good friends." Emma smiled. I would like to meet her someday. I think that can be arranged, Mr. Thompson said. But right now we need to get you back to Mrs. Garcia. She's probably worried about you. Emma gathered all her mother's papers and put them back in the folder. Mr. Thompson, can I ask you one more question? Of course. When should my mom come to work tomorrow? What time? Mr. Thompson thought for a moment. Tell your mother to come at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Linda will be expecting her. She'll show your mother around the office and explain all the things she'll be doing as my assistant. Emma nodded seriously, like she was memorizing every word. 9 o'clock tomorrow morning? I'll make sure she's here on time. Mr. Thompson walked Emma to the door of his office. Emma, I want you to know that what you did today was very special. Not many people would be brave enough to do what you did. I just wanted to help my mom, Emma said simply. I know, and that's what makes it so special. Linda was waiting outside Mr. Thompson's office with a surprised look on her face. She had never seen Mr. Thompson spend so much time with anyone, especially not a child. Linda, Mr. Thompson said, please arrange for someone to drive Emma home. Safely. And tomorrow morning, Sarah Martinez will be starting work as my new executive assistant. Please prepare all the paperwork. Linda's eyes grew wide. Yes, sir. Right away. Mr. Thompson knelt down next to Emma one more time. Emma, when you see your mother, tell her that she should be very proud of the daughter she raised. Tell her that I'm looking forward to working with someone who has taught her child such wonderful values. Emma hugged Mr. Thompson, which surprised him. He hadn't been hugged by a child in a long time. Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Thank you for giving my mom a chance. Thank you, Emma, for reminding me what's really important in life. Linda walked Emma to the elevator and down to the lobby. Mrs. Garcia was still waiting in her car, looking worried and checking her watch every few minutes. When Emma came out of the building with a huge smile on her face, Mrs. Garcia knew something good had happened. Emma, how did it go? What happened up there? Emma got in the car and could barely contain her excitement. Mrs. Garcia, he gave my mom the job. Mr. Thompson gave her the job. Mrs. Garcia couldn't believe what she was hearing. Are you serious? He really hired your mother? Yes. And he's going to pay her extra money so we can pay our rent? And she gets to start working tomorrow. Mrs. Garcia started crying happy tears. Oh, Emma, this is wonderful news. Your mother is going to be so happy. They drove home as fast as they safely could. Emma was bouncing in her seat the whole way, thinking about how surprised and happy her mother would be. When they got to the apartment building, Emma ran up the stairs as fast as she could. She burst through the front door, calling Mom. Mom, I have the best news in the whole world. Sarah was still in bed, but she felt a little better than she had that morning. She heard Emma's excited voice. She sat up quickly. Emma, you're back. What happened? Did you really go to the interview? Emma jumped on her mother's bed and told her everything. She told her about the tall building and the fancy office. She told her about Mr. Thompson and all the questions he asked. She told her about the job offer and the advanced salary and the health insurance. Sarah listened with tears streaming down her face. She couldn't believe that her brave little daughter had actually done it. Emma, are you telling me the truth? Did Mr. Thompson really offer me the job? Yes, Mom. He said you have to go to work tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. He said Linda will show you everything you need to know. Sarah hugged Emma tightly and cried happy tears. Oh, Emma, I can't believe you did this. You saved our family. Just then, 4-year-old Miguel woke up from his nap and came into Sarah's bedroom, rubbing his eyes. Why is everyone crying? He asked. Emma picked up her little brother and spun him around. We're crying because we're happy, Miguel. Mom got a new job, and we don't have to move away. Miguel didn't understand everything. He could tell it was good news because everyone was smiling and hugging. That evening, Sarah called the landlord and told him she would have the rent money by Friday. She called her sister to share the good news. She made Emma's favorite dinner to celebrate, but most importantly, Sarah sat down with Emma and told her how proud she was. Emma, what you did today was the most brave and loving thing anyone has ever done for me. You didn't just help me get a job. You showed me that no matter what problems we face, our family will always take care of each other. Emma hugged her. Mother, I learned that from you, Mom. You take care of Miguel and me every day, even when it's really hard. I just wanted to take care of you, too. The next morning, Sarah put on her best dress. and went to work at Thompson Industries. Mr. Thompson was waiting for her with a warm smile. "Mrs. Martinez, I want you to know that you have raised an extraordinary daughter. Yesterday, Emma gave me the best job interview I've ever experienced." Sarah felt proud and grateful. "Thank you for giving her a chance to speak for me, Mr. Thompson, and thank you for giving me this opportunity, Mrs. Martinez. I have a feeling you're going to be exactly the kind of employee this company needs. Emma told me that you never give up and always find a way to solve problems. Those are the qualities I value most." 6 months later, Sarah had become one of Mr. Thompson's most trusted employees. She worked hard every day and never complained. Just like Emma had promised she would, Emma often visited the office after school, doing her homework in the break room while her mother finished work. Mr. Thompson's daughter, Jessica, had become Emma's best friend, and the two families often spent weekends together. Mr. Thompson had learned that sometimes the most important business decisions aren't made in fancy boardrooms with expensive suits and complicated charts. Sometimes they're made when we choose to listen to our hearts and remember what really matters in life. And Emma had learned that being brave doesn't mean you're not scared. Being brave means you do the right thing even when you're scared, especially when someone you love needs your help. The little girl who walked into that job interview had not only saved her family, but it also reminded a successful businessman about the true meaning of courage, love, and second chances.